What is good, Mexit planners? Welcome to another edition of the Yucatan News Weekly Update. In today's Yucatan News Weekly Update, we're going to talk about the red tide, inflation, and getting back to the new normal here in Merida, Mexico. Let's get it. Starting with federal projects, the price of premium gasoline is set to increase by 15 cents per gallon due to the removal of a subsidy that the federal government has been providing to help combat inflation. They have now removed part of the subsidy for regular gas or magna, but the diesel subsidy is still at 100%. The gas prices here didn't fluctuate very much over the last couple of months. However, they're considerably higher than they were about a year ago. Last year, the gas prices hovered around 19 pesos per liter, and now they're between 21 and 22 pesos per liter. And there's 4 liters in a gallon, so as you can see, gas is around $4 a gallon here and has been for some time. So in terms of things that are not less expensive in Mexico, gas is definitely one of those. We are and have been around $4 a gallon since I've moved here. Hey, if you're planning to move to Merida, check out the Creating Your MexitPlans course. It is literally the blueprint on how to move to Merida. It gives you straightforward, step-by-step strategies to cover each of the critical milestones that you'll need to accomplish in order to move to Mexico. You'll also receive real contacts from vetted experts in real estate, insurance, international logistics, and immigration. And you'll receive free consultation from some of those professionals. In addition, you'll get a 30-page workbook full of worksheets and checklists that help you simplify this move. I created this course and fully believe in this course. If you receive any value from any of the videos in this channel, the course includes over 59 new lessons and 3 hours of video. It's all the information that you need to make this move in one place that is guaranteed to save you time and money. And if you don't like the course for any reason within the first 7 days of starting the course, you'll get 100% of your money back. Check out the link below because in the first 15 days of September, I'm giving 10% off of the price of the course. Again, if you don't like the course for any reason, within 7 days, you can get 100% of your money back. In other infrastructure news, AMLO, the president, has announced that he has spoken with CFE to install over 2,500 antennas throughout the country to provide internet service to rural pueblos in Mexico. The idea is to have all 2,500 of these antennas operational before the first quarter of 2023. So by the end of this year, he hopes to have coverage throughout Mexico with good internet service. This move makes perfect sense to me because CFE obviously delivers power throughout Mexico and they have the infrastructure to bring connectivity to the rural areas. Switching to state news, and the biggest story for the month of August really was all about this phenomena called the red tide. The red tide has been an issue for the entire month of August and is still affecting the state of Yucatan even in the first couple of days in September. So far, the areas of Chelem all the way over to Chicxulub have been experiencing the lingering effects of the red tide. It is advised during the red tide not to eat seafood that you buy at small cocina economicas in places that are not really sanctioned restaurants that don't buy their supplies from the large distributors. Now, the toxins that exist in the seafood during a red tide are extremely dangerous and don't have a known antidote to prevent death or serious illness. The signs of being exposed to toxins from the red tide is tingling and the burning of the lips, tongue, and face within 30 minutes of exposure. Voluntary movements can become difficult, as does trouble with the respiratory system. If you're poisoned by seafood from the red tide, you should seek immediate medical attention. One of the results of the red tide is the lack of oxygen in the ocean, which results in the death of a lot of marine species. And so far, they've collected over 1,150 kilograms of dead fish and other marine species, which they are burying in 94.5 feet deep pits on the beach. Another issue that has recently surfaced as a result of the red tide is that at least 10 people were injured in one single day from stepping on stingrays that were dying near the shore after fleeing the red tide. Because last week was the last official week of the summer holiday, Many of the beachgoers are flocking to towns like Sisal, which has a gorgeous beach. I went to Sisal last week for the second time in 3 years and couldn't believe how much the place has changed. Now, they now have palapas and beach chairs for rent. They also have services from 2 different restaurants that I could tell, and the water of Sisal was spectacular with 3 different shades of green. On the positive side of the red tide, the fishermen are aware that when this phenomenon happens, it drives the fish to different areas of the sea. One fisherman made over 35,000 pesos in 24 hours from catching over a kilogram of stingrays as they fled the red tide. Well, it seems that the worst of the red tide is over. Let's hope that this phenomenon doesn't extend throughout September and that it's completely over in the next couple of weeks. I know this weekend has been of particular challenge because there hasn't been much rain and the water seems to be reverting to the deepish brownish red color, but let's hope that this phenomena ends fairly soon. Switching gears to talk about safety and security in the state of Yucatan. The state of Yucatan has been rated as one of the few states where the crime rate did not grow and it remains the safest state in Mexico. A big contributor to the safety in the state of Yucatan is the 10-year tenure of the head of security here in the state of Yucatan. Now let's hope this remains once there's a change in the ranks of the state police. The people of Yucatan also pride themselves very heavily in the security of the state of Yucatan, and they keep security as the #1 priority. I did a video about a year ago on why I feel the state of Yucatan and Merida is so safe. I'll link to it in the description below as well as above. Switching gears to talk about the weather. We're in the middle of hurricane season here in Yucatan. And the meteorologists are warning that the period of increased cyclonic activity has arrived. This is the time where the waters are the warmest and the atmospheric conditions for the formation of tropical storms exist. Although July did not produce any tropical storms, they are still predicting between 14 and 20 named tropical storms in total before the end of the season. Right on cue, just this week, we have 2 new tropical storms, both Danielle and Earl, that are forming in the Atlantic Gulf. So certainly we'll be keeping a track on that. The official hurricane season doesn't end until November. So we now have 2 named storms and they're expecting between 14 to 20. Let's hope that we don't have any huge issues from hurricanes or cyclones again this year. All right, in more positive state news, 2 of the biggest events in the state of Yucatan have been announced. The state fair at Ixmiquil will take place beginning on November 4th in its pre-pandemic state with carnival rides, restaurants, concerts, and much more. The fair is scheduled to last until December the 4th, and repairs are already underway to fix the things that were neglected during the pandemic. We went to the fair in 2019, and it was one of the largest events we had attended before the pandemic. There were thousands, hundreds of thousands of folks even, who attended from all over the state during this time. They had activities for all ages. This is a really big event. It's a state event, and think of it as like really a big state celebration. So in 2019, we took an Uber down to Ixmiquil, which is about 30 minutes from the south of Merida, and we took a cab home. There were a lot of cabs available and ready to go right there. So this year, however, we'll be driving because we have a car, and the fairgrounds are only about 35 minutes from the south of Merida. So about 45 minutes probably from 45 to 50 minutes from my house. I want to give a heartfelt thank you to all of the subscribing members who make these videos possible, as well as all those folks that have sent me super thanks over the last few months that buy me coffee and allow me to power through reading all of these tons of articles to bring you stories like this. Thank you so much for my subscribing members and those who have sent me super thanks over the last couple months. I really, really appreciate you. The second big event that was announced is that Carnival will return to the fairgrounds at Ixmiquil from February 15th through the 22nd of 2023. So that's huge and is a sign that things are kind of getting back to normal. Now, in other news, many folks from the United States think that Cinco de Mayo is Mexican Independence Day. It's not. The actual Independence Day of Mexico is September 16th and is generally celebrated at midnight on the 15th with a tradition here known as the Grita. The Grita means screams, and that's the screams of the governors from the governor's palace that Mexico is free. That's an event I've witnessed since being here. The last couple years it's been virtual with it being filmed and just televised, but this year as in 2019, they're now going to have, events surrounding this. There'll be events held from September 13th all the way through the 16th, with it ending in an Independence Day parade of both military and civic organizations. In other news, as of the end of August and the beginning of September, schools have now returned 100% for all public and private schools for the 2022-23 school year, still with COVID protocols in place. However, this year, there's not both a hybrid and in-person option. It's 100% in person for the 530,000 pre-K to 12th grade students attending school. In other state health-related news, in addition to cases of monkeypox already being detected in Yucatan, as well as low numbers of COVID-19, right now we're hovering around 38 to 40 new cases of COVID-19 per day. The Yucatan has ranked #1 in cases of the flu in the entire country, with already 101 cases detected this season. There are no reported deaths from the flu, but it appears to be affecting mostly the teens and the young adults up to age 35 mostly. Switching from monkeypox to a spider monkey named Nico that showed up in the community in Zoe, which is located way south of Merida near the southwest border of Quintana Roo. The members of Zoe are looking after this spider monkey who basically lives at the police station. They figured that the spider monkey must have came into town because his natural habitat had been destroyed. It's interesting, there are all sorts of animals and species here because we're in a tropic environment, such as spider monkeys, jaguars, parrots that fly overhead, and all sorts of exotic birds that you would see at a zoo in the United States, but they actually live out in the wild, out around these communities and small pueblos here in Yucatan. And in another story that is both pet related and health related, they're training 2 German Shepherd dogs here in Merida named Mike and Sam to detect the presence of COVID-19 in humans. The dogs are using their noses to sniff out whether a person has COVID-19 or not. This test is far faster than any other test and can result in checking lots and lots of people very, very quickly. Right now, the test consists of blind screen tests where each dog sniffs 4 different samples, and when the dog detects a positive case, it stands in front of the sample. This is going very, very well, and Mike and Sam are doing incredible jobs at detecting cases at a high percentage. So hopefully this test will move to actual human trials and being able to test people in stadiums and airports and things of that nature. But this is a really positive step in the fight against COVID-19. Speaking of airports, in travel news, the Merida International Airport will be an operational hub for Viva Aerobus, which is a low-cost carrier here in Mexico. And it will gain 3 new routes to Toluca, Mexico, which will begin operation on September 23rd with daily flights. And on December 18th, Merida will gain 2 new routes to the cities of Querétaro and León. In other state news, the deadline to get your tags renewed in the state of Yucatan, which was the end of August, has come and gone. But the new deadline announced by the state is now at the end of September. Speaking of Progreso, it's been really hard hitting this last month of August with the red tide. They've definitely done a big campaign to promote other activities in Progreso besides just the water and the Malecón. For instance, the Meteorite Museum is now open to the public. The Meteorite Museum is focused on the extinction event of the dinosaurs. Right here in Yucatan, we have the Chicxulub crater located in the ocean just outside the town of Chicxulub, where the meteorite hit and caused the extinction event for the dinosaurs. That is also one of the reasons given for having so many cenotes, because the fragment of the meteorite exploded throughout the state and formed all of these different holes in the ground. Cost for Yucatecos is 150 pesos. For Mexican nationals, the cost for the museum is 250 pesos. And for foreigners, the cost of the museum is 350 pesos. If you have your residency from the Yucatan, you actually qualify for the 150 pesos. The use of the bathrooms in the museum will cost 20 pesos, and the showers will cost 30 pesos, which is a little bit more than other services on the beach, but it is literally located at the opposite end of the pier. If you're facing the ocean and the pier of Progreso is on your left, the Meteorite Museum is on the far right at the beginning of the Malecón, next to the beach club Guagüe. Another local event that's taking place that I'm super excited about is the Merida Restaurant Week. Will be back from September 26th through October the 2nd. And this will be the first time that we've had this event since the pandemic. This is the week where restaurants around town will offer special discounts and menus to stimulate business after the busy holiday season is over, which was the summer season. This year, it will also extend to cities such as Motul, Izamal, Progreso, and Uman and Valladolid, keeping in step with the 365 flavors of the Yucatan campaign. This year, they will have menus that range from 149 pesos, 249 pesos to 349 pesos versus the single price structure that they had for the previous 4 Merida Restaurant Week events. So you're looking at prices anywhere from $7.50 to $17.50. They expect as many as 300 restaurants to participate this year. One of my favorite things to do here in Merida is to eat out and to try different restaurants. A couple weeks ago, I found out about the restaurant Y&A. Absolutely the best tacos in Merida. So if you haven't tried it, they have locations throughout Merida. I think there's 4 locations for Y&A, and the 2 best from what I understand are downtown in Centro and Merida, and the other one is in Eximna. Check it out. It's not really foo-foo, but man oh man is the food and the tacos good. Y&A right now stands as the place with the best tacos for me. I'm looking for the next restaurant that has better tacos. And another big event that's announced to take place in person in full steam is the Buen Fin event, which is the equivalent of Black Friday. It will return from November 18th through the 21st in its original 4-day format. If you're moving to Mexico during that time, it's a great time to buy appliances, furniture, TVs, and anything you might need for your home. In other local news, it's been 2 years since the announcement of the sustainable stadium that was planned to be built here in Merida. Of course, this was a very controversial project, and in the last 2 years, there's been no progress made on this new stadium. This was an extremely controversial project because of its location. It was supposed to be located pretty much directly across from the Gallerias and Harbor Mall in that area of Zatzil Norte, which is really already congested with just local traffic from the buildings and the commercial centers that are already over in that area. Now, the mayor said that this project has not been canceled, but no permits have been issued by the city council for this project. So we'll see. We don't know if Merida is getting a sustainable stadium built directly inside the Periférico or not. We'll see what plans are happening next. If you want to know more about why I think Merida is the safest city in all of Mexico, check out this video over here. Until next time, this has been MexitPlans Monty. I'm out.